This is a conversation with Lidy Evertsen. Hi, Lidy.
Hi, Serge. How are you?
Good, thanks. So, maybe would you describe a little bit what your work is?
My work is diverse, but what I would like to talk about now is my work with people who are traumatized, and my background in this work is Bodynamic, the Bodynamic system.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do in Bodynamic system is, reworking through the trauma, but not before we have worked on resourcing the client so that the client is able to stand a higher charge before we go into the trauma itself.
Yeah. So working through the trauma, but the priority is to first resource to.
Yes. Yes, that's right. So, and the idea is that how can we say that the whole gestalt of an experience can be brought forward, including, unconscious decisions and things like that, that people have taken during the trauma and are still working in their nowadays life.
Yeah. So there's something like a whole gestalt of what happened that's still continuing in people's lives.
Well, the fact that the whole gestalt is not conscious, that is what influences the client's lives. So they split off parts of the experience, and the idea is to get, all the parts of the experience back in order to have the client or give the client a possibility to work it through.
Yeah, so get all the parts of the experience back together.
Yeah. So if they can tell it, so they use words, and they can feel their emotions, and they can feel their sensations, and they can also place it in the time and in the timeline of their lives. So, do you understand what I mean? Yeah.
Yes. So bring all these parts together and the context, the timeline. So basically really integrating that experience instead of it being split off. Yes,
that's right. So that by containment of, also the body itself, and the containment that is provided by the knowledge of things, people can stay in their bodies, so to say, instead of what they did during the event, that the charge was that high because of, the situation was so threatening that they just couldn't do anything else but leave their bodies, for example.
Yeah. So at that time, the body was not able to contain, and
yes, right.
We're making that happen, the ability of the body to contain.
Yes. So we think that otherwise it has no use to, go again through the whole story if you can't do it in another way.
Yeah, that would just be re-traumatizing.
Yes, right, yes.
So we're talking about containment and the body as a resource and as a container.
In fact, yes. But also about being conscious. So you could say during the traumatic event, the responses are automatic. They come from the reflex system. And the idea is to get, the acting part more conscious, so that it doesn't become automatic every time, that's the stress goes up a little higher.
Yeah, so all of this, in the presence of consciousness.
Yes, right, yeah.
So this is what happens, the general mechanism of trauma. So is there something special when there is repeated trauma?
Yes, what I often see in my clients is that when during childhood there is long-term stress and trauma, that they start organizing their whole system more in parts in order, and I mean, it's in a way a beautiful way to deal with things, because what I see is that the people can kind of keep all their possibilities available just by, having them a little apart, so to say. And so that what I see, a person is able to make beautiful art or having a very good job on one hand, because some child parts, so to say, are more separate, and they can just be kind of, be on the side when the person is busy working, for example. And on the other hand, it's of course not easy, because the other part is that there is a lot of chaos inside sometimes, because there are different interests inside from the different parts. So taking a decision can be difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's why while working with these clients, we are aiming at resourcing the different parts, and most of the time we deal with age levels, for example. So that they
So that sense of, people get in a way organized, survive the repeated trauma by cutting off into parts, and they can function in some way well that way, but there is also a chaos that happens there. And you're describing how in therapy you deal with these different parts and maybe dealing with the different ages.
Yes, and sometimes also with different gender. So,
for instance, what would be an instance of that?
Well, what you could see is in a woman, who grew up being abused, sexually abused, and then you can see that sometimes around the age of 6 or 7, that, a memory layer of that age, that they don't feel themselves as a girl, but more like a boy. And sometimes you can have more grown-up parts, more adult parts, who are male, and which serves doing a certain job, for example, or going out at night, being more brave as feeling male, things like that.
Yeah. So these different parts are going to be different ages, different functions, different genders, so a way of adapting to these different parts of reality.
Yes, in a way you could say it's a bit of an exaggeration of, what we all know as a personality. Only you can say all the different parts that normally are glued together or, are connected together now are just, put a little apart.
Mm-hmm. So instead of a flow between these different parts, very strong walls between them, they don't flow into each other.
That's right. And sometimes certain parts don't know about each other even.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that can be really handy sometimes, of course. I mean, when you have to do a tough job and you don't know about the child parts within you, that helps you doing this tough job. Only there is one little problem, that if stress goes up too high, or there are certain things happening, then suddenly the child parts can come up, so that this also makes chaos and insecurity sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So can we talk about how you work with that in therapy?
Yes. Well, you can say the beginning is with most clients a bit similar, that I start teaching them, if necessary, to tell about their sensations, their inner and their outer sensations.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a look at how they, what they are making out of that, how they interpret the sensations. For example, somebody tells about a tingling feeling in the stomach, for example, and a little, tight feeling in the throat, and then I ask, what feeling or what sensation do you feel behind that? So that's a kind of base that we first have to go through, so that we have a language, developed a common language, so to say.
Yeah, so the paying attention to the sensations and expressing it.
Sensations, and also what it means, what kind of information does it give to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also start to work with what they perceive in the outer world, and what they make out of that. So that adds to the common language as well. So,
for instance, perceiving outer world, what do you mean by that?
What they see,
mm-hmm.
factually. And so, for example, if we do this in contact, I can ask, can you have a look at me? And what do you see?
Okay.
And, I mean, people sometimes think this is a very awkward question,
mm-hmm.
but then we can see whether the outer perceptions can be reality tested, so to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when they look at me and they say, I see you are angry, then we try to find out what is it exactly that you see, and what brings you to the interpretation of angry.
Okay. Okay.
So, and through these steps, it becomes often clear with the clients that there are several reactions on certain perceptions. So, and then we start to look for how do you feel when you see me, for example, as angry. How do you feel yourself? What age level? And okay, are you feeling male or female? Or
okay, so you have described a process of that seems like calibration of what first paying attention to sensations, being able to pay attention to what they mean, express it, then paying attention to what people see, for instance, when they look at you, what it is that makes them interpret what they see, into, what they perceive, and working with that.
Yes, and in that way, we kind of explore what there is active in their personality, so to say, and normally there is a first layer that we come to or that we have access to, and then we start to work with those layers or those personality parts according to age level and according to the themes that are important for these parts and their function in the total group or the total personality.
Mm-hmm.
So and in the Bodynamic system, we also work with character structures, with the Bodynamic character structures, and the themes of the different parts. I work with them the same as I would work with a certain character structure,
okay,
so to say.
So character structure would be something that is developmental at different ages, different stages, people adapting to, frustrated needs in a certain way.
Yeah, so you could say it's a developmental chart that we keep in the back of our minds, and that describes 7 stages,
mm-hmm.
with each 3 positions that can be the result of that development, and that the formation is from intrauterine until around 12 years old. And you could say that a normal grown-up person has, a combination of different positions that were taken during growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what I use. Although we are making, we are discerning shock trauma work from character structure work, but when I'm working with people who have parts in their personality, I do character work with each part of their personality.
Okay. So, on the one hand, there is the developmental stages.
Yes.
And on the other hand, there is the parts, the separation into parts inflicted by trauma.
Yeah.
And within the parts, you are working with the various developmental stages of each part.
Yes. Normally you can see that, for example, when there is a part that feels like, say, a 2.5-year-old child, then I work with the developmental structure around 2.5 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, what is it like to work with these parts or the structure? Is it possible to talk about a case?
Well, I'll make a kind of combination, because, of course, I cannot talk about a client that can be recognized, so I will go or throw a few cases into one bowl, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, well, for example, a woman of, say, 50 is very intelligent, but has a lot of problems with keeping a job, for example. And is also once in a while very emotional, so has to cry a lot and, has not really an idea of what is happening, in fact. So then we start talking and sensing, and so just what I told you, and then it appears that there is a part that is very, intellectual and organizing inside of her, and there is also another part in her that is really playful and enjoys life but doesn't want to bother too much about, serious things. And there is a part that's very anxious. So, and that's what we discover after some time. And, the work that we then do is to let them come into contact, because normally they would kind of fight for the room, so to say. And what I try to do is to convince the three parts, so to say, or convince, or let them get acquainted and let them see what the function of each part is, each of the others.
Yeah.
And so that it becomes clear that they all have, that it is important for all if they can work together instead of fighting with each other.
Yeah.
And so this has also to do, of course, with establishing a working relationship with me. So each part has to make her or his own relationship with me, and then I can help support what they need in order to live with each other, so to say. So what happens then is that after a while, that can take quite a while sometimes. Then they are more listening to each other, more working together, and in fact, what happens often that they start to get a little bit of each other's traits. Maybe you can translate that on a brain level, that more systems in the brains are connecting.
Yeah.
So, and what typically happens then is that if there comes a bit more of a balance in, say, this group of three, then that a second layer steps forward. So, more hidden personality traits, so to say.
Yeah.
And then we start to work with them as well, so that in the end, the whole system can be mapped and, in fact, gets to know each other.
Yeah, so these conflicting parts, instead of being each separated and not communicating, having a sense of more of a way of them working together, instead of fighting for space.
Right, yeah.
And as they do, there is kind of less of a stark difference between them. They start to expand and connect.
Yeah, they start to first, accept each other, then maybe respect each other, understand each other more, and well, then often when they start to work together, they also start to connect in a way that, for example, the part that was always only brainy starts to feel also some emotion.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, how do you work with these parts? You know, in the case of that example we're talking about, to communicate with each other. How does this happen within the course of therapy?
Well, of course, at a certain point in time, we have identified the parts,
mm-hmm.
And then I keep asking the client when we are working on a certain issue, from which part he or she speaks at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's not really my job to identify them, but learning that it's the client's job to identify the parts.
Right.
It's his or her personality. So
the client, you know, in a way names, right now I'm talking from, say, the brain part. Or,
yeah.
And, but who, is it the client who names these parts, like calls it brainy or playful, or how does it come out, you know, to be aware? Yeah.
I ask the client, does this part have a name, or how would you like to call this part of you?
Mm-hmm.
And some clients have names for their parts, and other clients name the parts by their functions.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the client who names the part, not me.
Mm-hmm. And so what you're saying is some clients have already names, so in a way, often enough, there is some awareness from the clients of these parts. It's not something they just discover with great surprise in the sessions.
Well, most of the clients have a notion of, you know, the different stances they can have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's no surprise. Often it is a surprise when new parts step forward.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when more aggressive parts are stepping forward, that's normally not a very nice surprise. But for me, it's a sign of that things are going better when the aggressive parts come forward, because then we can go and work with the strength.
Yes. As you work with the parts, you know, what do you do to explore the parts?
Well, again, looking for sensations. Some parts have difficulty feeling sensations, so they have to learn that and name them, and then see what it means in terms of emotions or feelings, and then translate that into possible action. I mean, that's something they have to learn too. So that's kind of resource work that we do. And so it's each part in itself, you can say, needs resourcing, and the whole group needs to work together and learn to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we are working, that's so diverse. For example, what we do in Bodynamics is also make a relation between the tension of muscles and the character structures.
Mm-hmm.
So when there is hyper-responsiveness in certain muscles, that goes together also with hyper-responsiveness in certain themes.
Okay.
So that's also what we do with certain parts. Resource hypotense muscles and the connected theme.
Yes.
Or helping hyper-responsive muscles to express the theme, so to say. So I can have an example,
Yes, great.
maybe. If you take a muscle in the upper arm, that's called the deltoid. And if you take the front part of the deltoid, that comes in action, during the first year in development of a child, and it helps with also with stretching out the arms, reaching out to the parent, etc. So if there was not a good response, the child gives up. So the grown-up with this history doesn't know about reaching out, not in the body. So if one of the parts has this hyper-responsiveness in reaching out, we go work with this muscle and with the theme of reaching out.
So, for instance, in the case of the underdeveloped deltoid muscles, I assume that just lifting weights does not really solve the problem.
Not really, because it also, it's not only the training of the muscle, but it's also the consciousness of the content of that muscle. So we think that the muscle that develops in a certain period becomes willful. This means that the theme that is developed at that moment goes together with the consciousness of that muscle. Am I clear?
Yes.
If I say
Yes.
that? Yeah. So if you start to lift weights, but still are not contacting the content of that muscle, there is still a possibility that there is a kind of hyper-responsiveness. I mean, the muscle can be strong, but the response of the muscle can still be hypo.
Yeah. So how would that be visible physically? Is that something that you just notice emotionally or in terms of behavior? Or is that also something that you notice physically?
You can see it. If a muscle is hypo, you can see it that the area where the muscle is not so much alive as you would expect. And if a muscle is hyper, then you see that there is a kind of holding back in that area. And you can also feel it if you touch the muscle and you stretch the muscle in a certain way that Lisbeth Marker and the people around her developed. The muscle comes back when you stretch it in that particular way, and when it comes back more slowly, then that indicates a hypo-responsiveness. When it comes back quicker than you made the original movement, then it is a hyper active muscle, hyper-responsive, Yeah. So, but you need not touch. I mean, you can also see it very well. When I train with people in the foundation training, and I show a few of these muscles in the hyper or hypo-responsiveness, then they all recognize it.
Yes. So we're talking about this in the context of doing the work to develop, to explore and develop what is affecting the parts.
Yes. So So it's working on the so to say developmental stage that a certain part is in, and also working with what we call ego functions on a bodily level. So ego functions means all that you need in order to, have an adult life, so to say, and you can work with those ego functions very bodily, so with muscles or with connective tissue, mostly muscles.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what I try to do with the clients and their parts. If we work with an individual part, so to say.
Then you're going to, when you say work with the part, what is going to happen in the session about it? Is it, something that is directly related to the muscle itself?
Well, say that at a certain point in time, a part comes forward that feels abandoned and hopeless, for example, we see this hypo responsive front part of the deltoid. Then I have in the back of my mind, we need to do something with the contact here, and maybe especially with reaching out.
Mm-hmm.
So then we start paying attention to the muscle, for example, and that could be touch, or that could be, just making movements where the muscle is involved in. And then we work towards the contact where the muscle is involved, the reaching out contact in this particular case. And we work that out between us. So in fact, I act, could you say, as the parent part, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for this child part in the client to experience something that it didn't know, and that adds to the repertoire of being in the end being an adult.
Yeah. So, as we're coming toward the end of this conversation, can we talk about how these various parts communicate with each other?
Yes. Well, in the beginning, it needs to go with my help, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we just, like in Gestalt conversations, but then with a big group, we use pillows and things like that to give the whole group a place, for example. And then the client can, switch places in order to talk from the different parts.
Mm-hmm.
That is a way to do it. For other clients, it's more easy just to kind of just mention, now I'm speaking from this part and now I'm speaking from that part. So, they have different ways of doing this in themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah, so that sense of as they name them and explore each of them, then there is a sense of integration that happens.
Yes, that's what I see happen after some time. That some of the parts are coming closer together, are communicating more easily with each other, and then they start, to fulfill each other's positions also to a certain extent. And then you see a sort of grouping, so sets of personality parts that belong more together. And, I doubt whether if a person has many parts, I doubt whether they integrate totally in the end. I've never, seen that. But they come closely enough together in order to get rid of the chaos and the instability.
And as the parts become more integrated, do you notice that at the body level?
Yes. On one hand, there is less change in tone of voice, in body posture, and also more ability to fill the body out. So that's what I can see on a bodily level. And let me think. The panic has disappeared, because when people come with a lot of division inside the personality, there is also a lot of panic. And you can see that disappear.
Thanks, Lidy.
This recording is part of the Somatic Mindfulness and Relational Psychotherapy podcast. See the website relationalimplicit.com.
In tone of voice, in body posture, and also more ability to fill the body out. So that's what I can see on a bodily level. And let me think. The panic has disappeared, because when people come with a lot of division inside the personality, there is also a lot of panic. And you can see that disappear.
Thanks, Lidy.
This recording is part of the Somatic Mindfulness and Relational Psychotherapy podcast. See the website relationalimplicit.com.